everyone. I am Verdel Jones, talk show host of Conversations with Verdel Jones, and also one of the stars of a family show called Let's Kick It with the Joneses. We are so excited that you joined us today and you are watching Have You Heard, a show powered by Rude Rangers Entertainment. You know, there's nothing better than great conversations with great friends, and that's what today's show is all about. We hope that today's show will uplift and entertain and empower you to live the best life possible. And you can see more shows like this on ruderangers.com. So make sure you tune in. But you know what, before we get started, I just want to make sure that you know that I have two awesome, amazing, phenomenal women that are co-hosts. And I would like them to introduce themselves. And we're going to start off with Coach Heidi K.
Hello, everybody. I am so excited to talk with you today. I'm Coach Heidi K. Come on over and listen to my podcast, Break Up to Breakthrough with Coach Heidi K. Same name for my Facebook group. I'm a certified life and dating coach. I'm also on the faculty of IPEC coaching, training new coaches to do this work. And I love what I do, and I can't wait for our conversation.
Looking forward to it. And we also have the fitter woman, Orlandina.
Hello, everybody. My name is Orlandina, and I'm the executive producer and host of Muscles and Stilettos, show that you can find on Facebook and YouTube, where we talk about all the tips and strategies that you need to help you become the best and healthiest version of you. So I'm so excited to be here with you, ladies. And anytime I'm in your presence, as Mark Nepo says, my soul grows in your presence. I'm definitely looking forward to our conversation today.
Right. I totally agree. I mean, it is awesome. You know, when you can be with like minds and those who want to see women and just people in general develop and grow and learn something, it's a powerful connection. So I am truly blessed to be in the presence of you two women as well. So we want to make sure that everybody likes and shares this show so that everybody can see what is going on with Have You Heard? And also we want to hear from you. So please make sure you comment in the chat section, and one of us or all of us will be sure to get back to you. So during this COVID season, you know, it feels like we've been in this COVID season forever. And, you know, people are losing their jobs. People have lost their jobs. There's no money coming in a lot of situations. I think a lot of people have moved toward, a side hustle, so to speak, and trying to figure out how are they going to bring in money. And even before, pre-COVID, people always talked about having several streams of income just in case. So I just wanted to kind of talk a little bit about that. How do you feel that you've had to shift, or did you shift pre-COVID to try to bring some more income within your, into your household? And Orlandina, I'll kick it off to you.
Well, as a teacher, you are always, your profession, there's always a need for it. So if you just wanted to focus on teaching, you could. But I had already started shifting and going towards some other things in terms of growing my income, because just like with anything, there's always a ceiling that you cannot go past. And so I decided that I was going to go into personal training, and then that just grew into something else, and that grew into something else. And here I am, the host of my own television show, and it's allowing me the opportunity to now begin to create other streams of income to do that. Today I actually went to a shoe repair shop, and I was speaking to the owner. And he's like, I'm just asking him, like, how are you staying in business? And he said it's very difficult because he's only been here for about 3 years. His shop has only been open for about 3 years. And he said he's literally has had to go back. He's from Russia, and he's had to go back into he learned how to make shoes. So now he's making belts. He's making keys. He's making keychains, like other leather items that people may need.
Wow.
Besides just repairing shoes. So it's amazing that word that I keep hearing is pivot and shift.
Pivot. Yeah.
Because nobody's using their work shoes or so many people are not using those work shoes that they were using.
And that's exactly what he said. His clients are like, we're home. So they're walking around barefoot. They're not using
exactly.
Right. Exactly.
They're not going into the office. So just to learn how to do that, and just as a teacher, I'm teaching differently now, teaching online. And my whole thing was being able to connect with kids on a personal level. That's always been my strength as a teacher. Now to take that and now have to do it virtually, it's a shift.
Yeah.
It's a big shift.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Heidi, have you felt that pre-COVID and during COVID, you've had to make some adjustments in reference to those streams of income?
Yeah, very much so. Because, what I was used to doing was a lot of live public speaking and live workshops. And all of a sudden that just, was kind of pulled away. Yeah. So I had to pivot. The word of the day, I had to pivot onto virtual workshops. And I actually created a series for singles called Real Connection Virtually, where I would do, a dating success workshop and then foster interaction, get people into small groups to talk. I sort of was simulating what I was doing live before COVID. And it actually has worked out really well. I mean, I think ultimately people would prefer to be in person, especially singles who want to meet each other. But it's a really good approximation. And I think it makes people feel less alone, when we're all on the screen together that way. So that was an exciting pivot because I did need to, first of all, reach people and support them through this. And second of all, keep that stream of income going. That was an important part of my work, aside from seeing clients individually.
And I think the struggle sometimes with making that pivot is how to monetize it. How do you go to a virtual setting and still be able to monetize?
Yes.
Because you think, you go online, you're not paying for space. You're not, you're not paying that. But you still need to get paid for your time. So it's like monetizing, that pivoting and monetizing it at the same time.
Right.
It is a challenge. I think for me, as far as, streams of income, I've been in education, as Orlandina was stating, I've been in education for a good little while, but there is a sense of entrepreneurial spirit within my family, and that was kind of passed down and in me. So I'm always looking for the next thing. And it keeps you on your toes, right?
Well, we're happy you found us. We're happy you found us right here.
Right.
I agree, because the thing is, when you have this entrepreneurial spirit, you actually bring it into other things that you're doing. And so because you're just like, all right, let me see what else I can do. It's always a challenge because you get in your comfort zone. I know what I'm doing, been doing it for a while. I'm good. You can learn and still adjust in your field, but it's nice to have other things to look into.
Absolutely. Because people change careers also. And I found for me, it was the same, that kind of a thing. It's like, teaching is going to be over. Education is going to be over. Well, it'll still be in me, but I need to start doing some other things to keep some more income coming in, hopefully, So, Heidi, do you feel that you have an entrepreneurial spirit? Because you do a lot of things that really, I think, warrants it.
Yeah, I really do. And it's a really important aspect of me. I kind of cultivated it in my more recent years in my life. Let's say over the last 12 years post my divorce. Before that, I was, my previous profession was in occupational therapy, and it was more just like straightforward, not involving that entrepreneurial spirit. But when I pivoted to coaching, that was all about, creating my own coaching practice and finding a way to reach people. And I was just so incredibly motivated, and I remain incredibly motivated every day, and have really loved that entrepreneurial aspect of it. It's so exciting.
It really is. Yeah. And I like the fact that, so I have my 9 to 5, so I can take a lot of risk because I have that job.
Yes.
For people who this is their thing, like they're an entrepreneur, to me, that's scary. I could play around with it a little bit. I could call this a hobby and not really a business, but when the rubber hits the road and I really make some money, it's a whole different shit.
I'm actually interviewing someone on that, a woman who did exactly that. She left her career and just decided to go into this entrepreneurial zone full time. So I'm going to definitely be sharing that story because it's a very scary thing. Because like you said, it is scary because with your 9 to 5, you've got health, you've got dental, you got everything, your retirement plan and everything, as Heidi said, straightforward. You go to work, somebody pays you, come back. As an entrepreneur, you're like, if I don't bring in clients, that money's not coming in. And that is very scary. How am I going to pay this? How am I going to pay that? When you have children, it makes it especially more difficult and more scary. But somehow along the way, there are people who are just like, I need to do this full time. And they're willing to take that risk and take that leap of faith and just go in. So I definitely look forward to sharing that story with everybody.
Yeah. And it goes up and down too. When you're doing something entrepreneurial, you have to ride the waves of that. Yeah. And kind of expect that ebb and flow of how it goes.
And
so you know what? I'm sorry, Orlandina. Go ahead. Get your last thought in because we're going to wrap it up.
Okay. So I think when you said that ebb and flow, that's where that whole 7 stream of income. So that when one is dipping, another one to come up. So we'll talk about that when we come back.
I love 7 streams of income. It makes sense, but they need to tie in together because you can't be doing too many crazy things at once, right? All right. So, they tell me we're gonna take a quick break to wrap it up, and I'm looking forward to coming back. Make sure you like and share so everyone can check out what's going on Have You Heard, a show powered by Rude Rangers Entertainment. We'll be right back.
We are back. You are watching Have You Heard, powered by Rude Rangers Entertainment. And I am back with my amazing co-hosts, Verdel and Orlandina. And we want to talk to you all about how much empowerment we can soak out of the books that we read. And, the three of us have so much in common. One of the things that we have in common is that we're authors and we're passionate about empowering others. And one of the avenues that we use to do that is through our books. And that's also how we empower ourselves, by reading so many other fabulous books. So I have a book chapter in the book called If I Knew Then What I Know Now. And the author of the book is Doreen Guma. She compiled this book. My chapter is chapter number 7. It's called Breakup to Breakthrough. And in this book, which I'll show you, If I Knew Then What I Know Now, it is divided into 3 sections: happiness, health, and finances / work-life balance. And each chapter is somebody else's powerful story. And I have been so inspired by the other authors in this book about how they've gone through an intense challenge in their life. And their message to you of, if I knew then what I know now, from that challenge. And so we're talking about challenges of overcoming addiction, overcoming severe depression, overcoming intense shyness, health challenges, and my challenge of going through my divorce after a long marriage, where it was a really enormous crisis for me at that time, and what I learned about myself going through it. So, it's so great to be able to give our messages to others. If I had known then what I know now, like I would have known now that I'd be strong enough to get through it, and I would be able to pivot and reinvent my life and reinvent a full, rich, happy life, thankfully. So I didn't know that then. So if we can help people look back and know that, it's an amazing gift. So as I say that to you ladies about if I knew then what I know now, what comes to mind for you? Let's kick it off with you, Orlandina. What comes to your mind about that?
If I knew then what I knew now, if I would go back to that woman, I would always tell her, go ahead and jump. That's what I would tell her. Go ahead and jump. Because there's always a fear of the unknown, the fear of, I know what I know, this is my comfort zone. And to go out, it's like going in, opening that dark closet, what's in the closet. I would definitely tell myself that it'll work out. You might fall when you're taking that leap, but you definitely are going to come up higher and stronger than you did before. So go ahead and jump.
Yeah, I love that.
Go ahead and take a leap. Go for it.
I love that. So people out there that are listening, take what Orlandina knows now that she didn't know then. She knows it now and she's sharing it with you. That's her gift. Yeah. Fantastic. How about you, Verdel?
That is so true. You go through these tough times in life, and when you're in the moment, you are devastated. You are crushed. You don't think that the next day is even going to come because of the devastation that you might have.
Yes.
And then you can look back at it after time and you say, I'm good. Nothing happened here. I am fine.
Yeah.
I think the challenge becomes telling somebody or getting that information to someone and they believe it. Because I remember, like, during challenging times that I had a tribe. I know Orlandina always talks about a tribe. I had my tribe, I had my friends, I had my auntie, I had my parents and my children. And, they would say, it's gonna be fine. Everything's gonna be fine. I've been through this. It's gonna be okay. Meanwhile, I'm like, losing weight and just being, just miserable and sad. But I did get through it. And people would tell me, you're so strong. And I'm like, I'm not, I'm weak. No, I'm not. But it's, and I think the challenge is having you. So I'm telling you that you're going to be okay, or people telling me that I'm going to be okay. I think believing it. I think that's the challenge.
Yeah, it is tough to believe it. I was like you when I went through this crisis. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep.
Right.
I was shedding the pounds. When I have like regular daily stress, I'll eat too much.
Right.
But God forbid,
it's emotional, right?
God forbid, with intense, enormous stress, appetite shuts down.
It does.
I never want to have that happen again.
You just forget you don't eat.
I felt like
right?
Yeah. I felt like the color of the world was gone. Like everything was just gray.
Gray.
When it was sunny out, it was so gray.
Yeah.
And it's just like you feel so empty, so just like and you're just like, is this feeling going to pass? Because I'm over it. Like, I got to a point, I remember driving to work, because it was the same thing. It was a major shift for me after my divorce. I remember driving to work and I would cry going to work, cry coming home from work. And I'm just like,
boohooing everywhere.
Boohooing everywhere. And I'm saying, God, I'm tired of this. What do you want of me? This didn't happen by accident. He's a nice gentleman. I will never speak ill about him, but there was a reason why this couldn't continue. What do you want of me? Like, what do you want from me? Because I didn't get married for this, to break up. And look what happened. I had to break up to break through. So just like I had to, because I had to go into this journey, this part of my life on its own. And it was a book that I read. It was just this amazing little tiny book that I found in the airport that really shifted, and it made sense to me. Falling Upwards. I cannot remember the name of the author, but
what a great title.
Yes. Falling Upwards, that title, and it was amazing because it just allowed me to see your first part of your life is about building. The second part of your life is about deconstructing all of the things that you believed to deconstruct, and now you begin to focus on your own personal development as opposed to material development. And it was just a big shift. So I had to break up to be able to break through, because had I remained in that relationship, I'd have been constantly leaning on him and not standing on my own 2 feet. So yeah, go ahead and jump.
So interesting when we're talking about people telling us it's going to be okay. It's hard to receive it. But somehow it's a little bit easier to receive it if somebody has gone through a similar challenge. Because some people used to say to me, oh, you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. And I would say, yeah, you're going to be okay because you're going home to your husband and your family. But I don't know what makes you think I'm going to be okay.
Yeah. And when they haven't gone through it, they can't even validate how you feel. Like, they have no idea what that feels like. So how you going to tell them I'm going to be okay? You don't even know what that feels like. Right.
So if you can, get with, if you can talk with somebody who's gone through a similar challenge, even if it's not identical, now it's going to increase the possibility for you to really absorb it. So
it's true. I wholeheartedly agree with that, because people who've gone 100%.
And so it's exciting when people read this book, if I knew then what I know now, and they can see something in here of a similar crisis.
Right.
And they can take that encouragement going forward. Yeah. Well, what do you think if I read you a tiny, really short excerpt from this book? How would you feel about that?
Awesome.
Yeah?
Love it.
Real quick, just a little one. If I had known way back then what I know now, I would have realized that many of my fears were catastrophic projections that did not come true. Thankfully, I did not disintegrate, nor did I shrivel up and die from pain. I did not spend the rest of my life alone and lonely. I did not become destitute and homeless. I did not spend the rest of my days mourning and grieving for what I had lost. I did not spend the remainder of my time beating myself up with regrets. My children made it through. If I only could have known then how I would eventually reinvent my life.
Yeah.
So messages for others. That makes it all kind of worthwhile. There's a purpose in the pain and the challenge. Absolutely. And maybe part of the purpose is easing someone else's road and path.
Yeah. You have to, I always like to say, and I've, heard this from somewhere, you have to go through a test for a testimony.
That's right.
And being able to be open to share that with others is really a gift. It really, really is.
Yeah. So it takes a certain strength, and it takes getting past perhaps some shame. It takes getting past some, my way in the past was not to, share so openly about my personal experiences, but that's something else that came from challenge. So
I'm an open book.
Me, not so much. Yeah, I've become an open book, because that's why I talk about this tribe, because as women, if we can share these experiences with one another, that sense of shame, of being embarrassed, or whatever the case, whatever we're going through, first of all, we realize you're not the only one going through this. You were not the first, you were not the last, and someone else went through it and we can help you. We, you know, by us sharing these stories, we can help other women, you know, go through that. So it's really important that we do share.
Yeah.
100%.
So great talking with you ladies about this. And we have to go to a commercial break. We are going to be right back. So click share. We want to really spread the empowerment and the uplift and the enjoyment that we're sharing with each other right here. So we need you to help us do that. We will be right back. You're listening to Have You Heard? Powered by Rude Rangers Entertainment.
I'm Dan O'Shea, Executive Director for Lawrence Haven Homeless Outreach. It is our mission to support the homeless in our community, and we do that with the support of so many volunteers just like yourself. To help us, please go to www.lawrencehaven.org.
Welcome back to Have You Heard, a show powered by Rude Rangers Entertainment. Make sure you like and share our show, and also make sure you comment in the chat section so we can have an engaging conversation about the topics we are speaking of today. So we're talking about books, and Heidi talked a little bit about her book and you know, her contributions to you know, a book break to having that breakthrough that you need in order to you know, get through life. What if you would have known then what you know now? And I think that's a perfect segue to talk about the book that I authored called The Parent Agent: How to Represent Your Child and Get Them into the College of Their Choice. Now, this is definitely a book. If I knew then what I knew now, it falls right in line. You know, in my book, what I do is it's really focused on parents. And I am a big believer in getting to know your child. That might seem duh, of course, you want to get to know your child. You know, every parent, you know, should know their child. But you'd be surprised how many parents don't really engage with their children in a way that gets something out of them or gains or gives them more insight about their child. And the reason I wrote the book was because I was at a workshop that I was giving for parents of 11th grade students, and I happen to have an 11th grade student as well. And I'm going through all the things that they need to know, and I started getting anxious myself. And this is my business. This is what I do. I do college stuff. That's what I do. And I started getting real anxious, and I'm an expert in the field, and I couldn't imagine how the parents in the audience were feeling when they were hearing all of the things that they need to do for their child to help them get into college. And that really was the impetus for me to write the book. But I wanted to start at an early age. And my premise was knowing your child can really help them get to the space or the place that they want to be in. And you have to start that at an early age. And, you know, I as I said, with my, you know, getting to know your child is a key component into this. And we talk about college and how to get your child into college in reference to what parents need to know at what points in the child's college, the child's educational career, K-12. You know, I thought it was important for parents to understand that. So this is definitely a period of transition for parents. And I know we're going to be talking about transitions, you know, early on, but I just want to kind of throw it out to, you know, my co-host and, you know, Coach Heidi, what did you know about the college process as, you know, either you were going through it or your children were going through it?
Mm-hmm. I did not know much at all. I did not know much at all. And, what you're saying resonates so well with me. If you get to know your child and then, support them to cultivate their interests and get involved in interesting extracurricular activities, mainly because that's going to make them a well-rounded person with confidence. But as a side bar, it will help them with their college application. So there are so many parents that now it's 11th grade, and now what are they going to do? Cram backwards, all of the extracurricular interests that needed to be happening from a very young age. Mm-hmm. So I think you're absolutely right. A lot of parents didn't know it. And by writing this book, you're doing them a tremendous service. Hopefully they read it in time. We got to get it out there and have them read it when their kids are young.
Absolutely. And that was the key. So with our own children, what we tried to do was put them in activities that they were interested in and kind of nurtured that. So if they were interested in writing, boom, you'll do some writing class or some writing extracurricular activity. You're into film. Oh, we're going to put you in this little activity. And the other thing is, I think a lot of parents think it might cost money for these activities for children. But in a lot of instances, you can find free resources or very inexpensive resources that your children can participate in. And it's about knowing them. And one of the great examples of that is knowing what type of environment your child would be comfortable in a college. And you always hear, do you want a suburban, urban, or rural? I knew that one of my children needed to be in some activity because they were very into, film and movies. So my son did not want to be in an environment where there was nothing around. He needed to be engaged. He's a very, he kind of keeps to himself. He's friendly, but keeps to himself. He needed something with his activity that he's interested in so he can be engaged and part of a community. The college he went to, he jumped in and got right on board with whatever it was they were doing. So those are things that I knew about him, and I knew about that at an early age. Now, Orlandina, I know you work with middle school students. So how does that fit into our middle school students and what you think that they should be doing at that early age?
It's interesting because I'll ask my students, what do you want to do when you wake up? Like when you grow up? Like if you were to wake up and it's your perfect day and you're a grown up, what are you doing? And many of them don't even know what they want to do. And I said, it's okay if you don't know what you want to be in terms of a career, but what do you like?
Yeah.
And some of them can answer me and some of them can't. So that goes to tell me these are not conversations that are not being had at home. And it's not a knock on parents at all. Your day is so busy. I get it. You're coming to work, going to work, coming home, get the kids homework, food, dinner, get everybody in bed. And it's always just this hustle and bustle. But I agree. You have to get to know your kids because your children need to get to know themselves.
Right.
If you have these conversations, what do you want to do? What do you love? What do you enjoy? Getting to know them, getting to see what they like, then you can start to encourage them in whatever it is that they like to do. My niece, she's very creative. She made a little pet pig out of a box. I mean, that... My sister says, I go through paper like nothing, but this is what amuses her. Yes. She will see arts and crafts and she wants to recreate it. Yesterday, we were spending time together. She had me watching some show and they were doing all these arts and crafts. And she's like, Tati, can I have a marker? So I have to have these little kits of things here. And then when she leaves, there's paper all over my floor. But we have to get to have these conversations with our children because not only because you need to know your kids, but your children need to get to know themselves.
Right.
When they come out and say, okay, I want to do this, now it's coming from somewhere, but they're not even thinking about it.
That's right.
And just having those conversations builds confidence in the child because you're giving them, by asking the question, you're giving them the message that they're worthwhile and they can do anything that they like and they choose, that you believe in it. Just by asking that, you're giving the message. Right. And so true what you were saying, Verdel, it doesn't have to be expensive or cost much. I still remember the talk that we got when my daughter was getting ready to apply for college. And they were talking about put something original in your college essay. And they talked about a great one where there was this teenager who worked in a bakery and she would decorate cakes. Okay. And so that didn't cost her any money. She was making money decorating the cakes. And she wrote about this in the college essay. And the whole team that reviewed the essays was fascinated about how she learned to artistically decorate these cakes the way she was describing.
Right.
So, you don't have to be, playing polo or something.
Right. And that's the thing. And it's, if what I would love people to get out of, taking a look at the parent agent is the whole premise is parents are agents, are agents for their children. So the parent agent. So if you take an athlete, you're the agent goes out and they find resources and opportunities for their athletes.
Yes.
As parents, that's what we need to do. We need to be agents for our children. We need to go out there and find the opportunities for them, whatever program it is, and then they have to execute. So it's just not one-sided, because we know kids aren't going to search the internet and look for all these things to do. That's parents. Parents need to do that, or look for people who know how to get them the information, and then put their children in these activities or experiences or opportunities, and they can execute it and shine from it. And then you get to know a little bit about them. And like you said, Orlandina, know a little bit about themselves as well.
What a fabulous title, the parent agent. That is so great. That's so great. I love that.
I love that title, just because I tell my parents every year, and I think it's a very powerful statement for them to understand. You are your child's first teacher.
Yeah.
By the time we come around, they've already been doing the school thing for a while. You are your child's advocate. You know your child better than I do. So when I come to you, you have to tell me, my son is this type of learner. My daughter is this type of learner. This is their personality. They don't like to be out, in front of everyone. So by that point, by the time they're getting to 11th and 12th, you know your child in and out. You are their agent. If anything happens, it's you that has to speak up for them. So you have to know who you're, just like any agent, they got to know their athletes. They got to know all the stats. They got to know everything about them. You have to be able to do the same, because not only just to get them ready for college, but to also protect them. And so if anything should happen, you're like, no, I know my son, I know my daughter. I know what they're capable of, and I know what they're not capable of.
Right.
Let's try that again,
Right. And one of the things that I put in the book also is we used to write letters to our children's teachers every year and say, this is the type of child that we have. This child might not look like they're listening to you, but they're soaking in everything you're saying. This is the way they learn. This child loves to read and write. You need to give them activities that are going to foster this and encourage that. And that's part of knowing your children. So I like to tell parents, or any parents that are watching, send a letter to your parent, to your teacher, especially in elementary school. In middle school, high school, you can send a letter to the counselor and they can get that information out. But especially in elementary school, let them know who's sitting in front of them, because that will help the teacher inform how they work with your children. And teachers will also know that you care about your children.
I feel like you're also role modeling so well for your children, because at first, parent is the agent, but eventually you want to empower your child to speak for themselves.
Absolutely.
Right. The way that they learn that is by watching you do it, by watching you collect all those resources.
That's right.
And watching you communicate in an effective way with teachers.
Good point.
So you really want to let them in on it so they can take over for themselves.
That's right. So I know we have to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to continue this conversation. Again, make sure you like and share and put your comments in the chat section. We would love to hear from you. We'll be right back in a moment.
Dropping gems from Keisha Christian. She's on a mission, sharing information, knowledge for soul, body and mind. Dropping gems, KeishaGems.com. KeishaGems.com.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Have You Heard, powered by Rude Rangers. And with me today, I have my lovely co-host, Verdel Jones, and also Coach Heidi K. Today, we've been talking about just being a parent agent and looking back into our past and just saying, if I knew then what I knew now. And you know what? It actually all comes in together because I feel that in our lives, we're always going through these transitions, right? We're always going through these transformations and always looking back to see what we've learned so that we can take it and move forward and take it into our future. So this actually inspired me to write my first book, Seasons of Her. It actually started as a bunch of essays that I would just write, and they were just reflections that I wrote in a journal because I started to notice that my experience as a woman was very much like the seasons that were going on at that time. Fall, winter, spring, summer. And I began to make this correlation the more I got to know myself as a person. And it first opened up with this concept of fall. You know, I usually do not like the fall. It's pretty, but I don't, because I know winter is coming. And I'm not Game of Thrones. Winter is coming. But I just know, and I don't like winter because it's cold. You're indoors. You can't go anywhere. You can't do anything. My birthday's in the middle of the winter. And, sometimes I can have great parties. Other times I can't. And I was just like, I remember saying to myself, what is the point of it? What is nature's purpose of winter? And as I began to really sit down and delve deeper, I was like, winter's a time when all of nature grows quiet. And we as people, as women, don't have that time sometimes to sit down and get quiet, to sit down and really think about where we are, where we're going, who's around us, what's happening, what happened to the dreams I had, what's going on with this person. And just men and women, sometimes we need to press the pause button, sit down someplace, and just really give ourselves that opportunity to think. And what I found is a lot of times it could be very scary because as you're sitting back and reflecting, you have to look at the stuff that you did. Because it's easy for us to say, well, so-and-so did this to me and so-and-so did that to me. But you also have to take onus about you and ownership of what you've done to allow to get you itself into this place. So when I started to just really dig deep into winter and understanding its purpose, and not even just for nature, but just for us as people, then I really started to make that connection that, hey, the things that you learn when you sit still about yourself, and when it sit still and really learn things about yourself and learn to create standards for yourself, now it begins to push you and transition you into your next season and the following season. And so I began to really make this correlation. As I began to connect, I realized that I became in sync with the calendar season. And because we're in a region where we have 4 seasons, I began to see my moods and my energy levels change. And now, a lot of people are like, oh, women, we're emotional creatures, and it's seen as a negative thing. We're moody, and it's seen as a negative thing. And I had to say to myself, thank God I'm emotional. Thank God I'm moody. Thank God my energy will ebb and flow or just go to and fro, because it just allows me to say, hey, today my energy is low. I need to sit still. I need to be away from people, and it's okay. Oh, today my energy is high. I can be around people. I need to be out there socializing, networking. And you begin to see that every season has a purpose. Every season has a lesson. Every season has a challenge. And all of these things help you to get to know yourself as you're transitioning through life. They say iron sharpens iron. You can't get better unless these hard edges or hard things occur for you to bring you forward. So when I look at you, Heidi, and I think about if I knew then what I knew now, that's why I say go ahead and take a leap, because I know that in the following season, a change will come. Mm-hmm. And I've learned to become a better agent because I know who I am. And so I can speak to anyone and tell anyone, this is who I am, this is what I want. And the things that I don't know yet, I'm going to learn how to speak up on that. Mm-hmm. So have you ladies experienced any major transitions or shifts and learned from them? I'm gonna start with you, Verdel.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the reflection. I think with reflection, it's very difficult. It's so difficult to, first of all, sit still and go inside yourself and really figure out, like you said, a lot of times we want to point the blame at somebody else. Things not going right in your life. Oh, I'm going to blame this person because it's not me. I got it going on. It can't be me. So it's very difficult to take a step back and say, you know what, maybe it is me. and that reflection piece is so difficult, but and that is a season. Seasons, like you said, your fall, winter, spring, summer, all of those seasons. But a season could be a year where you're just sitting in it and you're like, well, what is going on? What is the universe kind of telling me? And sometimes that reflection could be a long time because it takes you to a point, where you have to recognize it and then acknowledge it and then really realize, okay, I need to change some things. I need to move a little differently within my own self, within the world and with others, because I'm taking this time to really reflect. And I think that's a challenge for some people to be able to do that.
It's true, because a lot of times that we think that, well, we should be in sync with everybody else. No, you need to be in sync with you. So if you're in your winter season a little longer than somebody else, that's okay, because there's work that you're doing that you need to do in order for you to be prepared for your spring.
Yeah.
And so what I did with the book is I divided it into 2 sections. The first section describes each season. Your winter is your time of reflection, time to be quiet. It explains what your energy level should be like. Like, have you ladies ever been to, there have been modes and times in your life you're like, I don't feel like being around anyone right now. Mm-hmm. You don't feel like talking to people. You don't feel like doing anything. You just want to go to work, do what you need to do, and come home. That's your winter season. You just, I don't feel like doing too much. But once you get past that, you now are into your spring. Your spring is your time of just rejuvenation, rebirth. That's when you get that burst of energy and you're like, okay, these are the things that I found out about myself. These are the things I want to act on. And you start moving forward. And then you go into your summer where you start working on those dreams. And then your fall is when you come out with the blessings. But each of those seasons come with challenges. Your winter season will come with that blizzard. That's a time where I think when people get stuck in winter, right, Heidi? There are people who get stuck in like a mode and you just can't seem to get out of it.
Absolutely. I talk to clients all the time who I kind of urge them to come out of their cave. So they're in their winter season. I sometimes call it a cave. Like, you can hide in your cave until you're ready to re-engage the world, but you're not really going to get ready by hiding in your cave. Yes, you need to take some time to reflect. But then in order to move forward, you've got to get an interaction with people. I think it's such a helpful way to look at it when you look at it as seasons, because sometimes, I get in conversations with people and they'll ask me like, are you an introvert or an extrovert? Well, I'm everything. Now I know I'm going to say it depends on my season. Right. I can get, I'm happy to talk to people on TV. I can public speak. Sometimes I just love nothing more than being with people, networking, getting to know new people, striking up conversation with a stranger, talking with friends. And other times I just want to be by myself, and I don't, as you said, I don't want to speak with anyone. Mm-hmm. So it's all in me. It just depends on the season.
It depends on your season. And we have to respect that about ourselves. Right. Don't stop forcing yourself into situations that you don't want to be. You're not in the mood to be there. You're not in the mood to go out with people. You're not in the mood to be in a place. Take yourself out of it. Yeah. Respect that. Because the winter time is, I feel like, the time where you start to learn that in that little Jiminy Cricket voice inside your heart, you really get to listen to yourself and you're like, I don't think I want to go here. I don't think I want to go there. But with each of these seasons, you learn a little bit more about yourself. So that's, and this is the premise that I'm using for Muscles and Stilettos this season, is this idea of let's go through these seasons together. So this season is all about reclaiming your dreams and speaking your truth, because we can get so frozen in place that we disconnect and we shut down, and now we're just this hollow little lifeless soul sitting in the cold. So we need to be around people like you, Coach Heidi K, like you, Verdel, that are going to keep that spark alive.
Right.
So so when we look at this book, when I wrote this book, the first part, like I said, explains each of the season. The second part is a journal. Like after you read each section, I ask people to examine and say, am I in my winter? Am I in my spring? Am I in my fall? Like, where am I? I really want you to sit with it. And if you identify what season that you're in, you could just go into that journal, and there's questions, there's an affirmation, there are just ways for you to just start really saying, okay, what am I supposed to be doing this season? So that you use your time wisely and you don't stay in there longer than you should. But do you mind if I read the final season?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is from her Harvest Moon. Some farmers practice a process called agricultural burning. This is when they intentionally burn off their wheat fields to prepare for the next cycle of grain crops. The idea is that burning is a new way to dispose of the excess straw and stubble left after harvest, so fields can be made ready for seeding the following spring. Therefore, not only is a woman's autumn season a time for harvesting, it is also a time of planning and preparation for the upcoming spring season. She too must burn away any stubborn stubble of dead situations and relationships that may remain after her harvest. In order for her to have healthy crops in the future, she must let go of dead things that no longer allow her to grow. The things that dim the light that shines within her. She must let the decaying trees fall where they may and come to the realization that she needs to stop wasting her precious time, energy, and space in the fertile soil of her heart and mind, trying to care for dead things. You see, Mother Nature is a wise woman with a biting wit. She uses dead things to bring forth life.
That's beautiful.
Very nice.
So you can find the book on Amazon. Coach Heidi K, where can we find the book where you wrote your section?
Yes, you can find it on Amazon. If I knew then what I know now, and the author is Doreen Guma, you can find my chapter 7, Break Up to Breakthrough.
And you, Verdel, where can we find The Parent Agent?
Sure, also on Amazon, and it's The Parent Agent. The Parent Agent. I'm like drawing a blank here.
Yeah.
The Parent Agent by Verdel Jones. How to represent your child and get them into the college of their choice.
Excellent. And my book is The Seasons of Her, A Journey of Womanhood by Orlandina Balan. You two also can find it on Amazon. And so you can find all of us on Amazon. Just type names. You can find it. So ladies, we're coming to the end of the show. And so what resonated in you today, Verdel?
The fact that it confirmed or affirmed the fact that sharing our journey is helpful to others. And the other thing that I could say that resonated with me is, realizing what season you're in and really sitting back and taking into account what season you might be in and not staying in that season for too long.
And you, Coach Heidi K, what resonated within you?
Yeah, I feel like using this model of what season I'm in, it's a way of me saying to myself, hey, it's okay. It's okay if you feel shy right now, if you feel quiet right now, rather than criticizing myself for it or telling myself what I should be doing or should be saying or need to be doing. I can just be in my season. So thank you for that.
Yes.
And I would say the biggest message that resonated with me today in our conversation was the fact that I'm my biggest agent. I am my biggest agent, and it's okay. In order for me to be my biggest agent, my best agent, I have to allow myself the time and space to know who I am and to be able to reflect back and look at the woman I once was and say, you know what, you'll be all right. And then to just any woman that I come across to go back and tell her, hey, been there, done that, you're going to be okay. And, if you need a shoulder, we got you. Just make sure you surround yourself with good people. And I'm surrounded by you ladies. So, which is even better. So, bam, out there, if you love this episode and these conversations are resonating within you, share, because there's somebody out there that needs to hear this message, all of these messages. So if it resonated to you, comment. If you know it's going to mean something to someone else, share it. Because knowledge is useless when it's left in just its one little bubble. It needs to be shared. So fam, thank you so much for joining us on Have You Heard, powered by the Rude Rangers Network. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Thank you for watching.